Okay. 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 As you can probably tell by the background, I am not at my place in Durban. I'm actually home right now, and I wasn't able to record last week because I was still kind of adjusting. I had a lot of stuff to do whatever with and all that crazy stuff. But anyway, we're back to the shit. Kidding. Anyway, so I have two things to talk about. One is a rant. Yes, people make us angry out here. And then the last part is something a little bit cute and a little bit nice and stuff, and that'll be at the end of the video. So the rant first, and then something different at the end. Hold on. You know, they're really onto something with this chai thing. They really were. Briefly, I want to talk about what artists go through. And okay, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about it or like go too deep into it. Like I said, it's just a rant, right? I want to talk about payments, right, and people not getting paid. I don't know if this is just me, right, but I feel like it's very important, right, especially to artists. Either if you're going to be somebody who's not an artist working with artists, and most importantly if you're an artist working with another artist. I feel like it's very important to have these conversations about money, and you know, everybody should just know where they stand and how to work with people, or how we can all work with each other, you know. So what I've noticed is that well, at least at first I noticed it with people who are outside of the industry, and only recently now with another person who's in the industry or another artist, right, which is some people do this thing, right, where they'll ask you for your prices, right, and they want you to work on their projects and whatever. Cool, that's why they're here. And then they ask you for your prices or rates or a quote or whatever, and then you give it to them and it's way above their budget, but they don't tell you that. They don't say anything. So they're like, oh, okay, cool, and then you tell them that, okay, cool, you know, deposit first and then the balance after the work is done, you know, the standard stuff. Cool, great. And then what they do is they will ask you for your rate, and you know, you'll give it to them and stuff like that. And instead of saying, okay, we do not have the necessary funds, we do not have the necessary budget to have you on this project and all that crazy stuff, what they'll do is they'll hustle whatever money makes up your deposit, right? Then bring you on board, and then come time for the final payment, there's no money, you know. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, right? Maybe it's just me, but like, I just feel like it's a really terrible thing to do, you know what I mean? Because rather you tell me that, okay, cool, this is above your budget, and you know, we go our separate ways, then try to rope me in, you know, thinking that, okay, cool, there's a budget set aside for whatever my fees are, and then you pay the balance, and then now we're just turning heads once the project is over, you know what I mean? Or sometimes what people do is they will sort of pay your deposit, right? And so what I usually do is I withhold the final thing, or if I'm editing or stuff like that, I withhold the final thing until the final payment is made. Like, yes, I'll still let you view the full thing, but it'll be super watermarked or whatever. And then after that, for the actual final copy, then, you know, you'll pay the rest of the money, and then it's yours, and then it's great, right? So what these people did was they pay the deposit, I edited the thing, and you know, me being me, out of goodwill, right, because I choose to believe in people, right, I sent them the final thing because my thinking was, okay, their deadline is coming up, therefore they're under a lot of pressure to get the thing out as soon as possible, right, when they brought me on and stuff like that. So I give them the video thinking that, okay, cool, the following day after the deadline I will get my money, right? I wish. Right now it's been 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Yeah, just about 4 weeks. And the only payment that I got was with the deposit, which is really screwed up. Because then the other thing is, okay, if I didn't choose to, trust these people with, giving them the video, before the submission, even though they hadn't paid, what was gonna happen? Because their thing was, or rather, what I'm gathering from this whole experience is that they paid the balance, right? Or not the balance, they paid the deposit, right? And their expectation was that they would submit the video that I'm editing, get the money, and then pay me. And I'm like, but I'm not your employee though. You know what I mean? You can't, I can't give my security to you and then hope that now after all of this, then you'll pay me. Because then also, what's to happen? Or rather, what was to happen if I decided to keep hold of the video until the balance? Then you're gonna miss your deadline, you don't get paid, and then everybody's just mad at each other. You know what I mean? So that was really, really, really screwed up. But it was a learning curve. I don't know. It was really crazy because, again, yes, I have the policy that I work with. I don't hand over projects or whatever and stuff like that until the final payment. But, there's just something when you work with other artists, you feel a little bit more trusting, because it's one of those things where you feel like, as another artist or from artist to artist, we understand the kind of things that we go through, and you of all people should not be operating like this or doing this sort of thing to me, But anyway, me being a chakra gent and all of that, I decided to let it go, because at this point it was one of those things whereby, at the final project they already have. So, and it's also been like 4 weeks now, with the payment overdue. So I don't know, me being me, I don't like fighting like that. I'd rather focus my energy on the next gig or the other gigs that are coming by and stuff like that, instead of focusing my energy on texting these people, hey, where's the money? So I just simply ended it like that. I just simply texted the guys and I was like, okay, you know what, clearly whatever's going on here is a mess. It's fine, you already have the final thing, you submitted it to your client and all of that stuff, but we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. It's fine, you can keep the money that you owe me, I'm not going to fight you for it, I'm not going to sue you, all of that stuff. It's fine, but I just won't work with you again, and I think that's really important to me, because I also want to enjoy working with the people that I work with, especially if you're freelancing and stuff like that. It's really important to build a really nice working relationship or working environment for yourself, and really surround yourself with people that you can trust. Because the thing about the industry is, at some point as artists, we have to trust each other. Like, you don't know how or when or what will be the circumstances, but at some point you really just have to trust each other. Maybe you need to borrow equipment, or maybe something happened, or there's an emergency or whatever. You really, really need to trust each other. So when you come across experiences like this, it's really, really, really disheartening, especially from artist to artist or people in the same field, because you understand the kind of struggles that we go through. So it's one of those things where I would not expect it from you, But that's fine. We're over that. Sips chai tea, right? On to the second part. I want to talk about film. So in the past couple of episodes, I feel like I've been teasing at film and I haven't really gone deep into it, I think. So I apologize for that, for those who feel like I'm just like teasing and like going around stuff. We'll get into it. I'm just very big on the philosophy, and that'll be very apparent once I start showing things like my BTS and stuff like that, and all that stuff. But anyway, I want to talk about what it means to be into film. You know what I mean? Because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she had been in broadcast for the past year, I think. and I'd been in broadcast, this past year as well, and we're talking about something that, I don't know, that really got me thinking, because in this industry, right, there's broadcast, so television, and then there's film. So when it comes to film, I feel like what's not spoken about a lot is, what it's like when you have the passion for film, because there are people who just want to be in the industry, that's fine, whether it's television or TV, whatever, whether it's television or film, it's whatever, as long as they're in the industry, and I really, really do envy those people. It's such a fun place to be, to like really, really, really move around, but we're talking about being in television for just a year, and it was terrible. It was really terrible. And not even because there's something bad or, I don't know, weird about broadcast or television or anything, but when your heart is set on film, broadcast doesn't really hit the spot for you, because there's no room for creativity, so to speak. So yes, you can have really great shots and be at these really awesome events and all of that stuff, and that's really great. The experience is amazing, the people that you work with is amazing, and they're all amazing. Everything about it is great. It's really, really great. But the thing about it is, with film, you are kind of, I don't know, you're drawn to narrative storytelling, like, yes, in broadcast and television you do have a story of sorts, but it's nothing compared to telling a story through film, and we're talking about how kind of depressing it was, because the other thing about broadcast is there's a lot of money, television has a lot of money, and it's really, 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 really great. So it's also kind of hard to leave that space, because film doesn't make as much money, or at least especially in the lower levels like us, when you're still kind of, it doesn't make a lot of money. So it was a really crazy decision, or it's something that's very weird to come to terms with when you realize that, yes, this field is great, it's fast, it's all of these things, it's amazing, but it's not that, it's not that. And I think the best way to describe it, I'll show you just now, is through a masterclass by Martin Scorsese, and he's basically talking about, making films, or what his masterclass of filmmaking is about, and just kind of talking about, what it's like to want to make films, or what it's like to need to make films, So I'll show that clip just now, but I think just to end it off, or at least just to end off this video, the thing about film is, if you just want to be around cameras and, be around the flashy lights and all of that stuff and I think television is your best bet. You might be great in television, but the thing about film is, I think storytelling has to be something that is innate, right? I feel like storytelling needs to be something that is deeply compelling within you. If you feel like you can't breathe, you can't live, you can't walk, you can't, just do anything if you are not telling a story, I think film is for you. I genuinely think that, film goes beyond just wanting to play with fancy cameras and lenses and get really, really, really cool shots and all of that stuff. And yes, we can talk about film being pretentious and all those crazy things, and why we do what we do, but at the end of the day, I feel like, to be a filmmaker, to want to be in film, to be passionate about film, goes beyond just the desirability of it, I feel, but it's also about how deep of a connection you have with film, how deep of a connection you have with storytelling. I think it has to be a very deeply compelling, thing to tell that story. It has to be a burning desire to tell that story through a certain lens, or talk about this particular thing. I think it really does go beyond just the superficial part of film. I think, it's a somewhat spiritual thing, I'd say, because of how incredibly profound it is to be able to have the privilege to tell these stories, you know, to have people connect through the story that you're trying to tell, you know. But anyway, those are just my thoughts, you know. I genuinely feel like if that's what film is for you, I don't think that anything else will ever give you that same kind of satisfaction. I could be wrong, but if you have this burning desire for storytelling, to convey a certain story, to convey a certain message through visual images, then I think film is for you. But if not, then I think you might enjoy broadcast quite a bit. But anyway, that was my rant and, you know, my little 2 cents on film. And yeah, thank you for stopping by once again. I am Mutiko Khiba, and here's a Martin Scorsese video. Bye.
And that's the way it is when you're pursuing an obsession, when you're going where you're drawn to go, where you have to go, as opposed to where you think it might be fun to go or where you think you should go. So if you're intrigued by movie making as a career, this isn't the class for you. But if you need to make movies, a movie, if you feel like you can't rest until you've told this particular story that you're burning to tell in moving images and sounds, then I could be speaking to you. Because that's who I was when I started making pictures and when I made Mean Streets and showed it here in this theater for the first time to the public and the New York Film Festival audience in 1973. So I'm going to be speaking personally, and that's the only way I can speak about making movies. I'm not going to give you a blueprint. There are no shortcuts. I'm going to give you some practical advice along the way, but the most important thing I can convey to you is that you always have to find your own way. You can be inspired, you can learn about cameras and sound equipment, editing tools, but in the end, it's just you. And that's what you have to guard. That's what's precious. I'm Martin Scorsese, and this is my masterclass.